This episode is brought to you ad-free thanks to all of our wonderful patrons. You can get tons of exclusive content, including bonus episodes, warm-up audio, and early access to episodes, all while helping us keep the show going by joining at patreon.com/shonenflop.
Welcome to this episode of Shonen Flop, where we talk about manga and Shonen Jump that didn't make it big. I'm David.
I'm Jordan.
This week we're talking about MamaYuyu.
MamaYuyu.
We are joined by the wonderful David Evelyn, aka Cool David.
Woo!
I want to say thank you so much for joining us today. Do you mind telling the audience a little bit about yourself?
Oh, thank you very much. I'm David Evelyn. I'm a Japanese to English translator, and I work on such manga currently being serialized as Undead Unluck, Kaiju number 8, Goku Rakugai, Shoujo no, Kaiju number 8 B-side, and Kyokuto Necromancer. There we go. And I do work for Viz Media and a lot of other publishers as a freelancer. Thank you for having me on.
I have to say, I think you are the second official translator we've had on. I think the third person who actually works for Viz. So it's always such a pleasure to have someone who's actually talking about the series they worked on.
I believe, by the way, this is the second person in 2 weeks that we have who's currently working on Kaiju number 8.
Oh, that's true. Yes.
Brandon Bovia.
Yes. Brandon was absolutely a fantastic guest. So actually, we've had 4 people because we've had you, Stephen, Paul, and Godswill on.
Oh, Godswill.
Yeah, Godwill's super awesome dude. I actually found I was in the same fraternity as him in college, which is crazy.
Oh, that's crazy.
He popped up on LinkedIn and I was like, wait a second. So I wish I had known that when we were recording. But yeah, super awesome guy as well. So I do want to ask, Shonen Flop's current favorite translation of all time is, I don't know if you've heard about this. Are you familiar with Service Wars? And as soon as I say Service Wars, Jordan instantly knows what translation I'm talking about.
Service Wars.
So Service Wars was by the guy who made Matama Security.
Okay, yeah.
So what happened was there's a grizzly bear that kind of gets like a glow up, and in the original Japanese, they just call it a handsome bear. Guess what they translated it as in the official release?
I think I know this one. God, it's the Riz Bear, right, or something?
Yes, the grizzly bear.
Incredible.
Bring that up because I want to know, what is your personal grizzly bear of your translation work where you were just like, I've done it, fucking, they're going to remember me for this. So what is your proudest translation moment?
I don't know if you remember I Tell C.
I love I Tell C.
We covered that on this show.
I'm the resident I Tell C fan here, okay?
For I Tell C, Hakuba no Hannin, which is, I translate, it's basically like a pun on Hakuba no Kishi, which is knight on a white horse, which is like a knight in shining armor.
Yeah.
I turned that into blight in shining armor.
Oh,
nice.
That's really good.
Nice.
That was probably like one of my favorite ones. Also, there was like a pun about like the kanji said interrogate, but the furi on the side said date, so I turned it into interrogate.
As soon as you said the word interrogate, I was like, oh, I remember the interrogate. That was really, really good.
So those are like 2 that I remember off the top. Also, all of the last chapter, I did that on like the fly. I didn't realize the gimmick of like every single thing that he was saying. The first word of everything he was saying was like part of the Japanese syllabary until like the very, very end when I got to Wombat.
Oh, no.
It was like 4:00 in the morning, so I had to like redo everything from the start.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
So those 3 examples are like probably my proudest shining achievements.
This is making me want to reread I Tell C.
I do too, yeah.
Why don't we actually hear about this series, MamaYuyu? So Jordan, why don't you tell us a bit about the manga details?
So this is MamaYuyu by Yoshihiko Hayashi. This is apparently his debut serialization. However, Hayashi had 4 one-shots prior to MamaYuyu, which Cool David will now tell us about.
Well, the first one is Lovely Runner's High, which was in 2021 in Jump Giga, the seasonal magazine. Octokill 2021, that won the Tezuka Manga Award, honorable mention, which is basically the runner-up.
That's pretty fucking big.
Honorable mentions, even in the Tezuka Award, are very prestigious. He also did, right after that, Heno Heno Moheji and Stick Figure and Panty.
With garter belt.
2022, which was in Shonen Jump Plus. It's still on Shonen Jump Plus. You can still read that.
Can you tell us a little bit about that manga, though?
Yeah, so that manga is about a boy who has a condition that turns him into a stick figure, and the doctor tells him that there's a stimulus, but he doesn't know what it is. So he has to like figure it out, and he figures out that the stimulus is the girl he likes. Like he saw her change in like the classroom, and he got stimulated. So he's like, oh, it must be that. So he's like, please show me your panties, and it turns him into a real boy.
And that's the Brooke origin story.
I was going to say it was see her change in the panties sense, not the Deftones sense.
Oh, yeah, no, not in the...
I watched you change. And then what was the last one that he does?
And E ni kaita mochi o kaita mochi, which is 2022 in Weekly Shonen Jump. That is Golden Future Cup entrant. He didn't win it, but he was in the running.
Good for him not winning that. That is a curse, apparently.
Yeah, that series also, the main girl actually kind of resembles Minerva if you like squint hard enough. But yeah, he kind of likes a certain character design and will keep it like big voluminous hair and stuff like that. So
I mean, first of all, in MamaYuyu, he has two girls with the same character design.
Yeah.
With that character design, that's a thing.
You can already tell that he's gonna, in his next series, he's gonna be like the guy who made My Hero Academia, where he just recycled the designs he liked.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, oh yeah. I loved reading Omega Donkey Zoo, and it was like, wait, that's Gang Orca? What the fuck is he doing here?
The Gang Orca does have a banger design, so I can't blame him.
Look, I get it. It's like, what? I'm gonna just have this design wasted on this canceled manga? No. Fuck that. I don't blame him.
And speaking of canceled manga, Jordan, can you tell us about how this series ran?
All right, so this ran from September 11th, never forget, 2023.
Jordan says this every fucking time a manga.
Because I never forget, David. And yeah, it got canceled April 8th, never forget, 2024. Series it replaced was Fabricant 100. That was our 87th episode. That was a series that we liked. The series that replaced this is Astro Royale. Are you familiar with Astro Royale?
Ken Wakui is the Tokyo Revengers guy.
For the record, I'm asking you how it is because we can't really read new manga till it passes a certain amount because it might be a candidate for the show. So we don't know if Astro Royale got canceled or not.
It's still running. It's actually funny because I knew about it like 2 weeks in advance because when I did the chapter for MamaYuyu, the last chapter, they were promoting Astro Royale in the marketing text on the last page. It was just like, and then the next series is going to be Ken Wakui's whatever the Japanese title was, I forgot. I think it's 9090 Astro or something like that. So
interesting.
That reminds me real quick. Can you shed some light on like how soon you were aware that this manga was getting canceled?
I knew this was getting canceled maybe like a month or like 3 weeks before the last chapter, but the letterer didn't know.
Oh god. So he's like lettering the end and he's like, wait, what?
Yeah, and he was a really big fan. His name is Finn. I was like, did my editor tell him? And I could tell because he was promoting it on his Twitter very vehemently, and I was just like, oh, I don't have the heart to tell him. I can't tell him now that he's already so deep in the thicket. So he got to the last chapter, and it was just like, oh, what the hell?
Oh, poor guy.
It was so funny because like I was talking to David about a series, and we had realized we covered everything else. And it's like, well, I guess if MamaYuyu, and you're just like, that's an idea. And then like 3 weeks later, like, okay, yeah, now I can officially tell you it's been canceled. So yeah, I can go cover that. But you knew when I was like, maybe if it gets canceled, and you're like, yeah, I just can't say anything about this right now.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's an idea.
Yeah, sure. And you were like, yeah, if it gets canceled, lol. And I'm like, oh.
I will say, a series that started at the same time as it, of course, the GOAT, the greatest manga of all time, Kagurabachi.
Influential.
Mind-blowingly good manga. Oda owes his whole career to this manga.
It's the One Piece of Shonen Jump.
For those who don't know, that is a meme about Kagurabachi. I'm not entirely sure why. I think it's because when it got announced, it just looked so generic and Shonen Jump was like pushing it oddly hard. So far, it has a little more than 2 volumes. Might be a hit.
And listener, we will absolutely do like a first impression. Once it breaks the 35 chapter mark, we will absolutely do some piece of content on it.
Because it's not getting canceled. I mean, it's the Morbius of Shonen Jump.
Morbius wasn't successful.
Yeah, it's like the Morbius of Shonen Jump if it actually did what they wanted to, like with the memes.
No, that's very fair.
And then what was the other series that ran with it, Jordan?
2 on Ice.
Yes.
By Elk Itsumo. It went for 4 volumes and was a flop, so you may be hearing about it soon, listener. We're not talking about that today. We're talking about MamaYuyu. It ran for 29 chapters in 4 volumes, although volumes 3 and 4 are not out until August, at least in Japan.
Yeah. And they might have an ending in it.
Oh, shit.
Because these chapters didn't. But why don't we find out about that in the plot summary?
This series was very difficult to write a plot summary for. The last time it was this difficult was Nano Hazard. Are you familiar with Nano Hazard?
I do remember Nano Hazard, yeah.
The thing is, if a series has a long plot summary that is a pain in the ass to write, it usually means that things happened in that manga that matter to the plot, unlike a lot of the series we cover. It's actually a good thing, even though it was a huge pain in the ass.
Yes. But go for it, David.
A long time ago, by which I mean 20 years ago, there was a big war between demons and humans, which ended when the hero Hollow gave his life to unite the factions. In this world, there is one hero and one demon king, which are identified by a sigil on their hands. The demon king, which is a gender-neutral term, Mama raised the hero Corleo like he was her own son. Corleo struggles to figure out what it means to be a hero in peacetime when a hero from another world, Evan Allgreen, arrives.
By the way, thank you so much, because I would have called him Corleo the whole time. So I'm so glad. Oh, it's Corleo.
Corleo.
Awesome. Great. Thank you.
I'm here to help. I worked on the series.
That's what I'm saying. I know for a fact that you're right.
I try. Let's see here. His war did not end peacefully, but rather with his demon king End, a giant Lovecraftian monster destroying everything. End is on their way here, and Evan must destroy it, although his existence in this world is tearing rifts in the space-time continuum. Evan shows Corleo sigil sorcery, a power that heroes and demon kings can do, when he teleports them somewhere so they can spar. Then End shows up, and Evan packs it into a little box before deciding to kill Corleo so he can be the only hero. However, when N breaks out and goes to kill Evan, Corleo jumps in the way and gets cut into various pieces. When Corleo comes to, he sees Evan healing him, giving his life force to bring him back. By giving him his life force, Evan gives Corleo his sigil, which is special because it's a mother sigil, which is a sigil that activates at birth, and has a bunch of powers like levitation, fire, and slicing things up like a dang samurai chop chop. Corleo meets Alicia, who's a cute hero with strong punches and falls in love with Corleo. They also meet Escaba, a one-eyed demon king who turns out to be an asshole working for the big bad.
Not shocking in the slightest that character was actually evil.
No, not remotely.
Thankfully, though, when he reveals himself, the best character, Minerva, shows up. Popcorn George.
Minerva, who as previously said, is the best character in the series.
She really is
a Demon King idol from a world where idols are MMA fighters. It's fucking great.
Wish that was the manga instead of this, to be honest.
Yeah. But also still idols. Her ability is to make stars appear that throw off people's focus so like they can't cast sigil sorcery. And she helps them fight Escaba, but just when they have him on the ropes, his boss, Grisha, appears and whisks everyone away to a pocket dimension. He takes off his hat to reveal a tiny little version of End. It's kind of this really gross but cool character design where like half his head is gone, and then this little thing that looks like David, I'm totally blanking.
Is it Magu?
Yes, Magu-chan.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he looks like Magu-chan just like hanging out.
He's got his little nubby tendrils.
Just like little nubby tendrils hanging over the side of the top of this dude's fucking face. It's creepy as hell. I love it. Grisha wants to let Corleo's sigil grow stronger so he can feed it to End, who will in turn give him the power to rule the world. Another hero character, Ralfred, shows up. Ralfred.
God, what a name.
Fantastic name. Dieting and dashing all over the place because in his world, heroes eat for free, which honestly, that always bugged me about like Final Fantasy and RPGs like that, where it's like, you're the heroes of light. You're coming to save the whole world. I'm still going to charge you for these weapons that if you don't use properly, I'm going to die.
Yeah. I'm going to need this money when you save the world. And if you don't, it's not my problem anymore.
Yeah.
I run a weapon shot, not Make-A-Wish, so you gotta...
Yeah, Ralfred agrees with Corleo and Alicia that Grisha should be defeated, but Ralfred is mostly interested in killing every demon lord he sees at any cost because, you see, his princess, who looks almost identical to Alicia except she has black hair, was murdered by her demon lord brother, who, oh my god, happens to be Escaba. What? He fights Minerva with his fire powers, but after realizing she is an evil, he eventually calms down and joins the good good guys. However, Grisha sics various demon lords on the hero HQ to bring them down, including Kuptula, who terrorized Alicia's world. Kuptula has ice powers, but thankfully Corleo just awakened his fire powers. That lets them defeat her. Grisha says he can revive the dead, and Kuptula wants him to bring her son back to life, which is why she's doing this. Her son, by the way, his name's Eugene. They defeat her and tie her up, but Grisha manages to use End to eat her sigil. Minerva then lets herself be captured in order to end the conflict and kisses Corleo on the mouth and probably with tongue because she's nasty like that, and is then taken. Popcorn David.
I am so glad the main character in this is 18 because she is 20. So imagine if this isn't our like 16-year-old protagonist.
He's 18, she's 20, Alicia's 24.
The series is very adamant about letting you know everyone's ages for some reason.
I'm going to expose myself here. That scene where she goes off into the portal with Grisha, the sound effect is supposed to be "gu," which is like, it's supposed to be a hug, and for some reason it got written as smooch. So that wasn't supposed to be a kiss, it was supposed to be a hug.
Really?
Yo, where's my hug energy?
Because the whole thing was like she actually did kiss him for that, but then afterwards it was like a hug.
Oh, I got you.
Like a bigger hug. Yeah, I'm gonna have to fix that in the whenever it's a graphic novel
for both readers of this series.
It seems like there's way more onomatopoeias in Japanese than English.
Oh, yeah.
There's an onomatopoeia for hug.
Yeah.
I don't think there is one in English. Glomp, I guess.
Which is also an adaptation of a Japanese word.
Ralfred's princess, her name was Wolvita because her name in Japanese is Uruvita or something like that. And Elisa's full name is Elisa Woolpool. So
yeah.
That's why it's Wolvita and Woolpool, because they're like similar. They have the similar katakana.
I picked up on that, yeah.
There's supposed to be a similarity between the two outside of just their appearances.
Oh, that's really cool.
It's like the one time where there's like an alternate universe analog to a character in the series.
Yeah, which was very interesting. I thought they were going to expand on that, but I guess not.
I guess not. Should I finish the plot summary?
Yes.
The befriend Monica, a little 8-year-old demon king with animal morphing powers who gets a crush on Corleo. Corleo, Alicia, and Monica then go to an amusement park where they meet Sadako, Monica's hero from a world where the demon kings are all sacrificed when they reach 10 years old. Sadako is a girl in her 60s who looks 20 because manga, and she can control ghosts. She summons the spirits of 2 dead heroes to fight Corleo so he can train.
I love how the hero who can control ghosts just hangs out at this amusement park in the haunted house. It's just like, this is where I belong. This works for me very well.
Yep. Not long after, they get a call that Grisha's base has been discovered because the plot is wrapping up and they have to do that. The team goes into attack, breaking off to fight various bad guys as Corleo corners Grisha and saves Minerva, who thankfully has returned to the series. Corleo goes into his mind palace and meets Ho-Ho and reveals that he deleted the memory of sigil sorcery from everyone in this world so that they couldn't use it anymore. He tells Corleo to make up a cool name for his sigil, so he calls it Loyal Lionheart because he's fucking lame. He goes inside End's massive form to meet End's true body. It turns out End is a little girl who was tortured to make her sigil stronger and wanted to see Evan again because he was the first person who was nice to her.
Aww.
Corleo realizes that he's been dead since chapter 1 and it's been brought back due to End's own resurrection powers, meaning that when she dies, he dies. He gives End what's left of Evan's powers and falls as she disappears. Corleo wakes up in the hospital, realizing something is wrong because he should be dead. He goes and finds Grisha, who is fused with what remains of End's powers. Everyone gathers together to defeat Grisha for good, even though doing so will kill Corleo. That is actually the end. The author just didn't make the last chapter of this manga.
I think that's actually a really good place to end it.
So many people in the Discord were pissed about that last chapter.
I think it's really good. I think that is actually a very good ending, a very good place to end it.
Cool, David. Do you mind telling us about the main character, Corleo?
I guess, yeah, he is a very, he's like a adopted child. He was like abandoned.
Yeah.
And he was taken in by Mama, who is the demon lord of their world. And he is the hero of their world, but he isn't really recognized by many of the people because like the hero their world is at peace, so they have no real need for a hero. And he does have a sigil, but it doesn't do much of anything. It just shows that he's a hero. And later on, he gains the ability to, after he's killed and brought back to life by Evan, he gains the ability to use a bunch of different sigil sorceries, and he becomes a very righteous human being. He goes from just a slacker to the almost stereotypical shonen protagonist.
Kind of very stereotypical.
Lawful good. Standard lawful good protagonist.
I would describe him as standard, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's bog standard. He doesn't really have any notable features, and that was like a thing that the author was just like, oh yeah, I gave him that coat in the look, this is like inside baseball, I guess, but like I gave him that coat because yeah, he doesn't really stand out otherwise, just has a hoodie and some hair. So like he's like on the cover of his debut issue of Shonen Jump, and he has like a sword and a coat and stuff like that. It's like, oh, he looks kind of cool, and then you just never see that again.
I don't think he ever uses a sword.
No, doesn't.
God. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say about him. Jordan, you want to tell us about Alicia?
Alicia Woolpool.
What a great name.
Great. Is her name like supposed to be a pun on Whirlpool? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a hero. She's 24 and huge breasts. This is relevant.
They get bigger every chapter.
Do they? It seems like they do.
The thing that the author said was like, oh, I don't keep the hairstyle of Corleo consistent or the breast size of Alicia.
I think David was referencing a thing that happened with Power Girl. Are you aware of that, Cool David?
Oh, yeah. I know about that.
He made her breasts larger every issue until somebody noticed. Yeah. No, I like Alicia. She's, she's very much like a fish out of water. She doesn't really understand phones or electricity. Corleo tries to get her to stop running across the street, so he's like, don't do it. If you run while there's a red light, you'll die.
You'll be cursed.
She brings it up later. She's telling a demon lord, Monica, from another place, like, don't run across the street when there's a red light or you'll die.
I really do like how people from different technological level worlds, like, really bond with each other. Like how Minerva is like, yeah, I know what electricity is. We have CDs.
Yeah. Yeah, oh man. Also, like, Alicia, her whole thing is, like, she was running away with, like, her mom for years and years, and then her mom died, and and her mom basically told her to, like, run and find somebody worth living for, and she's like, could Corleo be somebody worth living for?
Yeah. And there's actually a pretty big age difference between them.
Yeah, she's 24, he's 18.
That's actually kind of questionably an age difference of a 24-year-old and an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
Now, Minerva is definitely more his speed because she's 20, and as we talked about, absolutely the best character. I think
incredible.
I would have read a manga just about her. So, for context, she is a demon lord, but she is a diva first. But in her world, the divas, along with singing and dancing, also have to be able to MMA fight each other for dominance.
Yes.
I don't know how the author didn't say, whoa, that's a way better idea than this manga and just make that. David, I don't know if you have any influence, but honestly, you should just send a note to Shueisha and say, dude, is it Shueisha that owns Shonen Jump, right?
Yeah.
You should be like, dog, he's just got to make that. But that's like, yeah, she disappears. And honestly, I don't know why they were like, let's take away the best character in the series. That was not a smart move. And I think she has it kind of feels like almost like a stand ability where she sends out stars and the stars distract you. And it's really cool how she doesn't have any other combat abilities, but she just essentially can always fight you at your weakest because you're constantly being distracted by her attacks.
She's also just canonically a good fighter.
Oh, yeah, because she throws hands every week to remain dominant.
Like, she doesn't really need additional sigil sorcery because she's a fucking trained MMA fighter.
Yeah.
She's a fucking cage fighter.
She actually feels like she came from a different world, which is awesome.
I really like the way that it's laid out, too, because at the end of one page, she's like Corleo's like, so what's an idol? We don't really have them here. And she's just like, idols we're basically these icons, we sing and we dance. And then there's a page turn and it's like, and we fight each other in battles. It's fucking great.
It's so good.
She has very chaotic energy.
Either you or someone compared her to Power from Chainsaw Man.
I did, yeah. She has, like, power energy, which means she has Eric Cartman energy. As we all know, Power was based on Eric Cartman.
It's so good. She's our goblin mode queen.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then, David, do you mind describing Monica? And I'm curious, by the way, what made you decide to spell Monica with a K instead of a C?
I'm accredited as the one of the artists on Doki Doki Literature Club, because me and my friend Dan, he asked me if I could do like art for his game. And I was like, sure, I got nothing else better to do because I'm unemployed. And I did that. And it's still in the game to this day, I think, from like what I know, like in the newest installment. But I saw that name, I saw Monica, and I was like, oh, wow, that's funny. So instead of a C, I spelled it with a K.
I feel like you must have been trying so hard to see if there was a way you could just translate a line to just Monica. Or it's like the bad guy's like, who's in this room? You're like, oh, it's just Monica.
Just Monica. Probably would have gotten fired, but it would have been fun.
Oh, really? You couldn't have done that?
I know. I can't do anything like that.
This isn't the 90s. You can't just make up fucking dialogue in manga anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't say make it up. I just said that where there was room for that to be an interpretation for the translation. That's why I meant like it's an actual situation where that could
Squeak it out, and just be like, ha, look at that. No, but she has animal powers. She can turn into any beast and or bipedal creature, I think. And she can, I think that's like her only power, but like that's basically all she does. Yeah. And she's a brat. Kind of hell to translate because she speaks in the third person sometimes.
Yes. And it's like a big deal when she doesn't.
Yeah, funny about that scene was actually highlighting, I think she was like talking to Sadako, and Sadako was just like, oh, you're not speaking in third person, and she's like, huh. But actually in the original, it was because she doesn't use her ending gobi, her sentence ender, which is noyo, or nanoyo. But there was no way I could have translated that and made it look presentable.
No, I think you did an awesome job with the third person stuff.
Yeah.
Switched it to another quirk that she had. And, editorial was like, okay, that makes sense.
Understandable. Have a nice day.
Exactly. So she speaks in the third person. She has ending gobi, and she was just kind of like, oh God, this character, please go away. But I like her. I like her. I just did like, oh, please go away. Sake of my sanity.
Yeah, it really lined up that I picked you to talk about her. And then Jordan, now let's take it to End. Can you tell us about the big bad of this series?
Oh my god. So End first appears and ends, like, as I said in the plot summary, this giant Lovecraftian beast with, like, all these crazy faces. It actually looks dope as hell. Because it's, like, the main one is, like, this, like, angry face. And then, like, you have, like, a bunch of different, like, eyes all over it. And there's, like, a couple moments where, like, it's, like, this really happy-looking moe face, like, just stapled to the side. Like, crazy shit like that all over. It's fucking awesome. And it turns out that she is from a world, which is Evan's world, where the demon side basically like sacrificed Demon King after Demon King after Demon King until they ended up with a Demon King with a mother sigil. That is her. And they proceed to like try and torture her to get her powers to come out. It's actually like there's like this brutal moment where like her guards are talking and one of them is saying you should break her arms and legs, and then another guy is like but sir, and then again it's another page turn and it turns and it's like isn't that too light?
That kind of confused me because wasn't that the guard who was like, I don't think we should torture her anyway?
Yeah, I don't know what they were going for that. They were like, oh, isn't that too light? And he's just like, oh no, but we need to do that in order to do, like, I'm guessing because he does worse things to her. Like that breaking her arms and fingers are probably like on the light side, and then like disemboweling her is probably like on the heavier side. So that's probably why, he was like trying to acclimate into more torture essentially.
And they also, like, it sounds like they tortured her for 10 years because she finally gets her power and just kills everyone after her.
Yep.
Yeah, but in the meantime, she escapes and finds Evan from, earlier in the series, I mean, like first chapter, and he's just kind of hanging out and she's like, oh man, hey, what's up? And he's actually nice to her. And she's like, oh man, he's like the only guy that's ever been nice to me in my whole life. She gets captured again. And then when she finds out, when somebody tells her that Evan died, which was a little confusing.
I believe that was Grisha that told her that.
No, because she kills the guy was it?
No, the guy who she kills is the guard that was saying, oh, isn't that too light, sir? And he cuts off his head. Yeah.
And then she practices kissing him, and it's very strange.
Yeah, she does this thing where she starts killing guys and then kissing them because she wanted to get some of the love that she never received.
Yeah, but if you remember in the beginning of the series, Evan actually lists off a bunch of names, and Grisha is among them. So he knows Grisha. Yeah, I don't know if you noticed that.
No, I remember that now, and yeah, that did seem like it was Grisha. I got a little confused just because of like the way that.
Yeah, so now that we've gotten to characters, why don't we actually talking about some issues we had with this series that, well, we've already started doing that, but we're going to really get into it. So let's get into why it failed. So, Cool Jordan, what would you say stood out to you as an issue you had with the series?
Corleo? I have issues with Corleo.
God, yeah.
He feels like, I'm just going to say it, I'm Marty Stu.
Yeah.
He feels like, oh man, how's this going to get resolved? Oh, it's Corleo! Corleo with the steel chair all the
With
time!
the steel sigil.
With the steel sigil! Oh my god, David. One day you're going to learn to pronounce that word. Anyway, Corleo is constantly coming out to solve every issue, and it's like, he's just so strong and so good, and you don't really get that from the first chapter.
You know, it's kind of funny he feels like an isekai protagonist with a cheat power, except he's the only one who's actually from this world out of the main characters.
Yeah. Well, he does have the power of potentially a cheat character. But it's like in the first chapter, he seems kind of reluctant to be sort of a hero or just kind of getting into it, not really sure what it means. And then by like chapter 2, he's like, nah, I'm a hero, man. I'm a fucking hero. I'm giving my goddamn life. I'm risking everything all the time for everyone. It was too much, and it really did not help. His character is very hard to get a grasp on. It seems to change a lot, and I think that really is the biggest flaw for me with this series. I like so much about this series, and he was my biggest problem.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, a big thing about this is the author very blatantly didn't know what he wanted to do with this series, which you see with every character. Like, he introduces so many characters, then he's like, this is too many to balance, let's get rid of them, which he, again, gets rid of the characters we actually think are interesting, like his mom, like Minerva, which it's like, why are you downplaying the more interesting characters? And it's like, what was really the plot of this manga? You know, it was like, this was not sustainable for a very long time because it just was a plot spaghetti, you know?
I agree. There was a lot of what should we do now kind of syndrome where once one thing ended, it's like, now what do we do? Okay, now we're on a train and like, where are we going? Oh, we're going to go to the HQ. Oh, hey, look, it's a demon lord or whatever. It's like, it kind of lost the plot a little bit. Like once Mamama's hand got eaten, I was like, now the story's going to go into a different direction, right?
Yeah.
Because you expected like, oh, okay, she's going to be like the titular demon lord that helps Corleo, but then it's like, oh, now we flip the script, right? So, but then after that, it just sort of kind of like, okay. I mean, Lisa's cool, but like, it's like everything else is like, I don't know about this, right? You know, so I understand where you're going from that.
It kind of felt like all the characters were reactive, but the author kept putting them in situations where they just had to, by chance, have something to react to, because no one really felt like that agency in this plot. It's kind of like when you're playing D&D and the DM doesn't, like, wants to say, oh, the characters are in charge, but then you didn't give the characters any scaffolding to actually make decisions, so it's kind of like you're just kind of aimlessly wandering around until you encounter something.
Right.
Which reminds me, like, one of the biggest issues in this series is also just the way that it fails to build things up. This is a common problem that we run into where, like, the example I have is where Grisha's talking to Escaba and he's like, we gotta do an attack on the hero's HQ. And Escaba's like, when are we gonna do that? And he's like, how about right now? And then they just suddenly starts. And it's like, well, hold on, man. Why don't you let that tension build up a little bit, you know, have us be like, man, I wonder where they're gonna do that. Wait a couple chapters, you know, let us just have this kind of over our heads. We're like, man, when are they gonna attack? When are they gonna attack? And there's a few times that this happens where like we were talking about it in the chat, Cool David, where you kind of pointed out this guy's very good at storytelling within a chapter, but between chapters he really fails.
There's no greater example of that than chapter 1. Chapter 1 was a very solid chapter 1. Like, that was a chapter 1 that a lot of people really liked and praised for just, like, the storytelling from beginning to end. It was when we got past chapter 1, that's where sort of, the narrative issues reared their ugly head, I feel.
Because we even said in the Chibi, the preview episode, where we were like, where could you possibly go from this?
Yeah, it's like Earthchild.
Yeah. Oh, God, fucking Earthchild. I will say this is way better than Earthchild.
Yeah, but that's not hard to do.
That's not hard to do. Where it's like the first chapter, it just feels very closed. Like, it just feels like the story has been satisfied at the end of the first chapter. It really is just kind of like, where do we go from here? What's next, you know?
When you start off a manga killing off your main character, you have a place to go. When you end your chapter by killing off your main character, it's sort of like, now what? Because you brought him back, now what? He's already been revived, you know what I mean? So that
Yeah.
kind of gives you a different kind of connotation. Like, compare Yu Yu Hakusho to this.
I actually was thinking about Yu Yu Hakusho because it's the same thing where he can, like, he has kind of a similar ability to the spirit gun. I know he has other abilities, but the fact that there's like a hard number of times he can activate his ability made me think about how Yusuke can only shoot his gun a certain number of times per day.
There's a lot of influence from, and also from, I don't know if you guys have read Koji Inada's Dai no Dai Boken, The Adventure of Dai.
Oh, no. I thought you were about to say Chainsaw Man, which definitely, I want to say the art style, by the way, it's just so we're on side. The art style definitely looks like he was inspired by Fujimoto.
Sometimes.
I would say more Koji Inada for Adventure of Dai or Beat the Vandal Buster.
I remember Beat the Vandal Buster. Damn. Also, I want to say, like, the whole Demon Lord hero sigil thing just feels very ham-fisted. It was like, fuck. Oh, what is it? What is it? All right, so there's, like, a good guy and a bad guy, and they have, like, marks on their hands. How about that?
But the
and
bad
that's how
guy
they
isn't
know.
always the bad guy.
Bad guy's not always a bad guy.
Except only heroes are always good, and then it's the demons. It's only the demons that are sometimes not always evil. One last thing I just want to talk about is also how this has, like, 3 different training arcs, and it's just like, come on, dude, fuck off with that, right?
Yeah.
Just like, come on. But anyway, let's get into the positives. So, cool, David, can you lay it down with us? What are some things you enjoyed about the series?
I think it was a negative in the beginning, but the paneling, I really like the paneling. I like the way that the sound effects are laid out. I really like the artist's vision of like what he wanted to do with the series, which was kind of be a medium specific kind of story where like you could not tell this story in animation or in text. It has to be in sequential art.
Yeah.
I love the paneling in this series so much.
Yeah, it's so cool, especially when he talks to like that hero guy who like deleted fucking Sigil is Sigils, right?
Yeah, no, Sigil.
Oh, Sigil was right. Who deleted Sigil, and it's part of the text box or top part of the frame just always covers himself in this really cool way.
Oh, hollow. Yeah. That part was like when that was like peak. Let me use everything that I can. So I'm going to use the gutters. I'm going to use like part of the panel to cover him up. The speech balloons are going to cover him up too. Like that was really cool.
There are moments where it's like when somebody is saying something really like heavy to Corleo, the speech bubbles have shadows that like cast on his face. There are moments where like 2 panels have like kind of a circle cut out of each side and together they form a speech bubble. Like there are just all these fascinating things. Or like when a monster is like cut into pieces, the panels themselves are cut in those ways to show that they're sliced up. Like just really interesting things happening.
Most artists nowadays will draw digitally, like on their computers using like something like Clip Studio Paint or something like that. This was done analog.
That's sick.
Holy shit.
Yeah, they mention it a lot in the gutter. Like, if you read the magazine, like the actual magazine, it'll actually say like, support Hayashi Sensei and his analog work. Like, this is a completely done analog. And they made it a big deal to say that, oh, this is an analog work. Him and actually the other manga that I translate, Undead Unluck, those were the only 2 that were actually doing analog.
That's so cool.
Also, I liked the dynamic between, I did like the dynamic between Corleo and Mama, and I wish that was more expanded upon.
Yeah, I was such a cool idea to have the main hero be raised by the Demon Lord.
Yeah.
There was actually a bit, and I don't know if this is, I should be able to say this, but I get the storyboards before the actual manga goes out. And there was a little bit more in the beginning of the manga about like how this all worked in their world. Like, oh, the hero and the demon lord, like they're together, but like their government, like, you know, because they kind of allude to it over the course of the series. Oh, he was government protected or whatever the hell it was. But there's actually like a little thing where they show like, oh, he's going to get his like checkup because, you know, it's been like 8 years or whatever, like his 8-year checkup or whatever with the government. And they expanded upon it in the beginning a little bit more, but I guess they cut it out for the interest of time. But I really wish they like went into that a little bit more, like give it like some more time to breathe.
Yeah, I mean, this series in general, it is like, I wish you gave a lot of things more time to breathe, you know? Like, that is kind of a central problem. But I will say, as we said, like, the story, while chapter to chapter there are issues within each chapter, this guy does, like, a pretty damn good job storytelling, I will say. It really kept me going. I remained interested in these characters. Honestly, I was interested in the romance between Alicia and Corleo, even if like the age gap's a little weird. I was interested in Alicia the whole time. I like her. I like the characters in this series, like except for Corleo.
I mean, I also like how the author clearly has like all these little details he likes. Like one thing that was really cool was Alicia openly talks about how she hates rain because it makes her think of like her mother dying or something. But she's the one who runs out to go find Monica when Monica disappears.
Mm-hmm.
You can just tell this author really, really cared about what he was doing, even if a lot of his execution fell apart.
Yeah. Also, I'm going to say it. Apparently, a lot of people disagree with me. I thought the ending was Kino, as David would say. I thought it was very well done. So the ending is basically, like, people are like, oh, it's not an ending. No, it is an ending. It's just an ambiguous ending, okay? Basically, it's like, and basically commit suicide, more or less. And Corleo is like, wait, I'm still alive. Hold on, let me go figure out where these powers are. And he finds Grisha, who is like this mutant abomination, is like, yeah, we're gonna fight you. And then like a bunch, like all his friends show up to fight him, and it ends.
The adventure continues.
Sort of, except it doesn't, because he dies. That's the point, though. It's like, where do you go from here? Oh, there's one more chapter and he dies. Like, we just did a fake out where like we said he was gonna die and then he didn't, but we also said he's still going to die. So what's gonna happen next? Well, he's either gonna win and he's gonna die, or he's gonna lose and he's gonna die. Like, where do you go? And the answer is, it's kind of like not that important. You get it. So I actually think that the ambiguity was well done. Watch a goddamn Coen Brothers movie. God damn it, people.
This manga's ending was so good it even made Jordan say Kino unironically.
It's true. I did.
But yeah, also I want to say that it had issues, but I do still want to applaud the series for trying to have downtime with the characters. Like, it keeps being where he's like, I have to force some plot thing, which is not really what downtime is supposed to do, because it's supposed to be like seeding things rather than like a bad guy showing up when they're at the theme park. Even though I know that did happen in Chainsaw Man Part 2, but he's earned it. So yeah, I mean, there's just so many fun details. And like, I think overall, I think the series had a lot of issues, but I do want to say this is definitely an offer that I will be excited to see this next series.
This guy is talented, and he does things that I don't see like any other mangaka running in Shonen Jump do. I can't think of a single artist, with like the exception of Fujimoto, doing anything nearly as interesting with panels as this guy is.
Now that we've talked about the positive negatives, let's really get into where it could have gone. David, I know that you had something that you were really passionate about, that you wanted to talk about, that you would have revised about this series.
Yeah,
he was just there, and he was randomly stronger than the Demon Lord, and they never really expanded upon that, which they probably should have, because he was in like every chapter. He was in every chapter, and he would like get messed up by Grisha, and he would just be like, oh, where were you? And like, oh, I was in some random place. I walked back. Like, what? Like, okay. So I really wish they had like expanded upon him. A lot of the other characters too, but specifically him, because he kind of stood out the entire time.
I legit thought when he showed up again, when like he came back from Grisha, it would be like, oh, Grisha did something to him and he was like taken over or something. Yeah. That's the clone or something. But like, if that was something the author was going to do, he didn't get to it.
So weird. He had so many forced ideas, but then he didn't really focus on the stuff that he wanted to do. Like, it's such a cool idea to have the main character, the main protagonist that the universe says this is the protagonist, be raised by the Demon Lord. It would have been such an interesting way to show morality, but they dropped the ball by making it that heroes are always good, and then if anyone's a bad guy, it's always still going to be a demon. Like, I was kind of pissed that the first traitor was a Demon Lord. It's like, yeah, no duh, that guy was going to be evil.
I mean, here's the thing, though. You could argue that Evan was kind of a traitor. Evan turned around and tried to kill Corleo in the first chapter.
Oh, you know what? You're right. That is a fair point.
Yeah, but at the same time, it is like, I would have liked to see more of that. Like, they sort of got into it with, there's so many characters. I don't remember the names all the time.
There's too many characters in the series.
The ghost here, Sadiko. It seemed like they were going to get there with Sadiko, but they were just like, rather than her being like immoral, she was just kind of like amoral and was like, yeah, you know what though? I'm still on your side just because, like, I don't know, I have a crush on you too, Corleo. This series was kind of a harem manga. It ended up sort of a harem manga.
Kind of weird, isn't it?
It was not expecting that. That's not even a negative. I was just like kind of surprised that I found myself reading a fucking harem manga out of nowhere.
There was also one scene I kind of wish he had done differently. It was where the author really loves playing with the text boxes actually taking up three-dimensional space. So there's this scene where I kind of wish he had done this differently, where when he is talking to End, and End is like, I'm worthless, and the main character's like, that's not true, and he grabs her like blindfold. I thought he was going to physically grab her text box box where she keeps saying she's useless and just rip it away. And I think that would have been such an awesome payoff for the fact that the text boxes seem to be diegetic in this series.
The biggest payoff of that for me was where with Hallow Hallow, who I want to call him Horo Horo
from One Piece.
From Shaman King. Shaman King, David?
What? I thought, no, the Horo Horo, isn't that also from One Piece? That's how Paroma laughs.
But there's a character named Horo Horo from Shaman King.
Well, it probably means the word ghost in Japanese.
Sound ghosts make. Horo, horo, horo.
Actually, Jordan.
Oh, well, it's what I was saying, and I was still talking about Horo Horo from One Piece. So, no, God damn it! Horo Horo from Shaman King! Fuck you, dude.
I love you too, Jordan.
No, but Hallow Hallow, where the big payoff for that for me was where like the panels were physically cutting in to just give him like a blindfold, like a mask so you couldn't see his actual eyes. That was so cool. Also, I really liked how they seeded the fact that he erased sigil sorcery, because like you started off like, man, why doesn't this world have sigil sorcery? We just don't have it. And then Sadiko brings back two of the old heroes, and he's like, well, they won't have sigil sorcery, and then they do, and it's like, wait, how the fuck did they have sigil sorcery? And then Horo Horo, and then Hallow Hallow is like, oh, we used to have it, I just erased it. I thought that was like pretty well done. Yeah,
that was great. So what would you have changed about that situation?
I really would have made Corleo a lot more, like, for lack of a better word, like cowardly. I would have made him more reluctant to get super involved in the fighting. I might have made him worse at fighting.
Yeah, he was an isekai cheat protagonist.
He was OP, really diffused the tension of a lot of situations. Like, I would have taken him out of situations where it's like, nah, I want to see how Alicia deals with this herself. Or, hey, I want to see how Minerva gets herself out of this situation. Instead of Corleo showing up with a brand new power you didn't know he had until this page, just saving the day.
Yeah. And then also one last thing is I think it would have been nice to have established a sense of world building, which would have better built contrast between the characters' worlds, because it's really, do you have electricity? Yes, no is really the only dividing line between all of these characters, you know? So ending that on a high note, let's get into miscellaneous thoughts. Jordan, this also kind of made me think of Stealth Symphony, where it just shotguns characters and it has this weird isekai element that kind of matters but not. I just wanted to say that I just was kind of miscellaneously thinking about that. David, I don't know if you're familiar with that series.
I do remember it. Yeah, Stealth Symphony. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I was actually thinking in this recording, what are times where main characters have died at the end of the manga? And that's an example, actually.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's one of the prime ones, huh?
Samurai 8 as well.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Another one that was a glorious 25 chapter flop.
Yeah. Also, my other miscellaneous thought was, so the main character threatens to cut his hand off with a bone saw when he gets kidnapped. Why was there just a random bone saw in a place where he got kidnapped? Like, what was their plan for that? Well, I guess it's just like, I was just like, why is that there?
Was it a hospital? I don't remember where that...
It was a cabin in the middle of like...
Oh!
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's a hacksaw. I guess a bone saw is just a hacksaw, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's pretty gruesome. Shocker, a bone saw is gruesome. Threatening to cut your hand off. That's gruesome. Whoa. No, I will say one of the things that stuck out to me about this series was they were like, it didn't really fully go anywhere. I feel like it was going to, but like there's a huge theme about mothers in this series. I mean, it's called MamaYuyu. But I mean, like, you know, you have Mama, whose name is literally Mama, who is Corleo's mother figure. Alicia's mother died, and that was like a big thing. Kupchula's
a mother
herself, and her son died.
Minerva's mother's a piece of shit.
Yeah, Minerva's mother's a piece of shit who fucking sold her.
Yeah.
Like, for the fucking child subsidies or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, straight up tax purposes. Like, oh god, like total piece of shit. Even like Ralfred, like his princess is the result of a political marriage between like a demon king and a hero. So it was like, her parents were relevant. And then, you know, End didn't have any mom or dad at all. So like,
no beginning.
This felt like it was ha ha. But like, so I feel like this was all like leading up somewhere, you know? Oh. And then the most powerful form of sigil is the mother sigil. Thank you.
And then, so David, did you have any cool little things that you haven't had a chance to say yet?
I don't know if anyone knew this, but like if you look back on like the place names and some of the characters, they're based off foods.
Ooh, that is cool.
Persimmon is the name of the continent, persimmon.
Oh.
Panello, pan means bread.
Oh, so he's doing a little bit of a Akira Toriyama thing here.
Because I think the influence off of like Dragon Quest is really high.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what was it? The amusement part is fruit spelled backwards, Sudafru.
Yeah, some of these names, I was like, I bet this is an anagram or spelled backwards means something.
Can I tell you, when you said Dragon Quest, there was a part, I almost corrected you, Dragon Ball, and I was like, wait, no, he did Dragon Quest as well. I apologize. Actually, is wrong.
Actually, I have some cool trivia from MaxyBee. I am abridging this. I'm sorry, MaxyBee, for the sake of time. Listeners, you can find the full notes on our Patreon. The series was a recommendation and gift, and gifted art from the guy who made Jujutsu Kaisen.
Gege Akutami, yeah.
Yes, thank you. And despite not winning the Golden Future Cup in 2022, the offer beat the actual winner to serialization.
That's it. That's her. Yeah.
And the winner has not actually ever started a series, so...
There we go. I was just talking about that before.
There you go. And then also, End is inspired by U-Ball from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, which is... I have not heard that name in a long time.
Yep.
And then Tucker had a few questions for you, but for the sake of time, I unfortunately can only ask you one of these. Why was the decision made not to change the title when publishing the English version, since Mama in the title gives a very weird first impression to readers without any knowledge in Japanese? Was this a publisher mandate?
I gave a list of suggestions and they went with just going, well, actually, it was a list of suggestions and then it was a list of romanizations. So initially they wanted to go like Mama dash Yuyu instead of like Mama capitalized Yuyu, like that. But I also gave like monsters and heroes. I gave like a bunch of like a whole list to my editor, and the publisher, which is Viz Media, I guess they got word from Shueisha that was just like, oh no, we have to, just keep it Mama Yuyu. Same thing with Kyokuto Necromance, which supposed to be Far East Necromance as late as like the chapter going up almost. And it just got switched like the day before it went live, I think, or maybe like 2 days before it went live.
Oh, wow.
Usually a publisher thing. It's usually like a Shueisha thing. Like they'll approve of the title and then like, that's what we'll go with. But sometimes they give us more free reign, like the Viz, they'll give Viz a little bit more free reign with some things, but it depends.
And yet Delicious in Dungeon, that was okay.
The offer asked that to be the English title because it's D&D.
Okay, but come on, Demon Slayer, most generic title in the entire world.
Demons of the Shadow Realm, which fucked up the popularity of that series.
Real quick, what does the series actually translate to, the title?
Actually, in chapter 4, when he goes like, oh, I'm going to end the strife between demons and heroes, that's literally what it means.
Demons and Heroes?
God, speaking of a generic title.
Jesus. Yeah, MamaYuyu was better.
Yeah.
All right, and then actually, that I think ties into our final verdict where we're going to read off some 6-word summaries, so why don't we dive into that? I say that because I feel any of these 6-word summaries could have been potential titles for this series. So, from Tucker, Darkest Timeline's coming for your ass. MaxyBee, waiting for the actual ending still. Or a Paladin, terminal case of a sudden harem syndrome. Balfasaurus, what's in a hero? Not much. Blamumu, focus on Mama, no all Yuyu. Chicken Warlord, worst version of Into the Spider-Verse. Dackerson, plot, big minus. Geography, big plus. God, that got me sweaty. That's a really good one. Because for listeners, the entire continent it's set in is shaped like a plus.
Oh, right. God damn it.
That is a contender for best 6-word summary of the year.
Damn.
4D chess.
God, I'm like, I would not want to follow that guy. So it really sucks to be Diego. No, I'm just kidding. Diego said, endgame of Into the Flopverse. Dude Rock said, you dig on multiverses? Not anymore. Generic Man, MamaYuyu, but Yuyu benched Mama. Glornak, hold up, I'm gonna exposition quick. Isekai Sensei, Tone Whiplash makes Mama's neck hurt. GRPG Astrologer said, what's the polar opposite of closure? Kermit the Grog, yo, Minerva manga prequel when though? That's what I'm fucking saying, dog.
Yeah.
Captain Clueless said, Mama, ooh, didn't mean to flop. And then Jordan, take it from there, man.
Imagine, first of all, pretend that sounded anything like
Fuck off,
Bohemian
Jordan.
Rhapsody.
Trying my best.
He's tried his best, I know. Anyway, Lord Anubis, #1 Red Hood fan / mourner. Battle series? Surprise! It's a harem. Luffy 0321. Multiverse starring the least interesting hero, yeah. Meru, commissions open. Gloating unhinged narrator doesn't actualize master plan. Portal Man could have made Isekai Justice League. Quack, another victim victim of fatally sloppy wrap-ups, Red Blade avoids depth in favor of
I thought
fridging.
that said fingering at first, and I was like, what the fuck manga did he read?
Yeah, the porn parody. Rio, I have every power because protagonist. Savia, another one. Mama just killed a manga. You.
Okay, maybe you did do that better than me.
S. Bubby, did the author have a plan? Scott, well, I have to say, a demon's plan? Scott just followed the Marvel multiverse trend. Spike, hey, hero, want to hear my plans? Spook, aka Sir Skellington, bro read Mary Sue and said, bet.
It's a good one, too.
The Wolf, the Wood, the Trafalgar. Boring hero fights Shonen's worst villain. Xylon, still better battle harem than Nue's Exorcist.
Oof, oof. And then David, what was your six-word summary?
MamaYuyu is cool, but ended.
Jordan, what was yours?
The panels are coming to life.
Oh, that's good. I had two, so you'll tell me which of these are better. Mine was every character everywhere all at once. This is honestly my thought on the series. This is the definition of A for effort.
I would say I like the former.
I just thought it was a fun way because that is really like, to say flop or not, that is my thought on this. This author absolutely tried. He tried his best. It just was not good enough. This is a flop, I'm afraid to say.
For me, I don't know if I'd say it's a flop. I really wanted more. I was upset when this ended. I wanted to keep reading. As many issues as I have with Corleo, I think Corleo really hurt the series, but everything else, I was kind of invested. It kept me interested the whole way. So, I mean, I think it's barely not a flop.
You're a mad lad.
It's on the cusp.
I just had too many issues for me, dog.
I don't blame you at all.
And then, David, how about you? Did you think this was a flop or not?
I agree in the sense that it's probably a flop if you look at it maybe numbers wise or popularity poll wise. But for me, I really like this series, and I really think that it could have course corrected itself. It just changed a few little things midway in the series. So I don't want to call it a flop. I've worked on some flops. We can go back in my back catalog and we can go into Super Smartphone, or we can go into
Super Smartphone.
We can go into any Do Retry. Yeah.
Were you Jesus Christ when you found out the villain's name was Q in that series?
That was the protagonist's name.
God, you're right.
Yeah, so, I mean, and nothing, I don't like to slight against other mangaka or whatever, because they're trying their best, and, Shonen Jump is a really competitive magazine, but, I don't want to call MamaYuyu a flop, because I don't really think it did much flopping. It just was the guy's first serialization, and it went pretty far for a first serialization.
It's 29 chapters. That's longer than Do Retry, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Do Retry only got 19 chapters, and Smartphone got about 20.
I like how David is very clearly implying that we have been pronouncing the name of the series wrong the entire time, and Jordan just still doesn't use the correct pronunciation when the translator is saying the name of the series differently.
No. Actually, I'll tell you guys later about that. But you can say Do Retry or Do Retry. It doesn't matter.
Okay. I mean, who gives a shit? It's due ended.
It's Do Retry.
It done ended.
Oh!
So I think that's both fair. So I guess I'm the only one who gets to give a recommendation then. So I want to say this actually made me think of Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer, but by that author, I would say the closest comparison is Spirit Circle, where it has to do with different dimensions, or not different dimensions, but different reincarnations and versions of people interacting with each other. And honestly, Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer, yeah, is still underappreciated, but definitely if you've heard of Lucifer, you may still not even have heard of Spirit Circle, which is also an extremely good read by the same author.
Now, should I watch the Lucifer and the
No.
Biscuit Hammer anime?
No, don't do that.
Yeah.
I think you mean read the anime, giving him the fucking... Sorry, I'm just really mad.
That's a whole other episode to talk about.
All right, let's get into... Okay, so Jordan, both of us thought this was not a terrible series, so either way... Well, actually, this is not a flop. So Jordan, how does this rank? Is this the best thing you've ever read on the show?
No.
Okay, well, then let's get into wrap-ups. David, thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find more of you?
You can find me on Twitter, Shin Hiroko, ShinHoroko. Almost misspelled it. Basically, I'm on Twitter whenever I'm not doing work, and I just kind of dick around on there.
Thank you for calling it Twitter, by the way.
X, formerly Twitter. I'm sorry, I have to get my...
No, thank you. No, please keep calling it Twitter. Please keep calling it Twitter. Oh, god damn it.
Good
Fuck.
for the SEO. Come on.
That's true.
But, yeah, no, you can find me on there. You can find me in bookstores. If you read Undead Unluck or Kaiju number 8, Gokuraku Guy, I'm currently in the middle of doing like 7 other projects right now. There's also City Hunter. I'm doing the official
Ooh. I've heard that's good.
translation for that. Yeah, it's on a platform called Manga Hot. It's like a Japanese exclusive service, but it's accessible to people in North America, so you can check that out. I'm currently in the middle of doing Dr. Mashirito's Ultimate Manga Techniques, the book by former editor Torishima, who was the editor to Toriyama, Akira Toriyama, and Masakazu Katsura, and Koji Inada. Pick that up when it's in stores. It's a lot about making manga, and how he can prevent you from making a flop.
Awesome. Well, I want to say also, Jordan, props for making the opening ending thing, being a great co-host and helping with editing.
Thank you so much, David, for all the work that you do on this show.
Props to Merliel for the awesome cover art. Find her online at Lyle Mur, and Nigel for being our generous art benefactor.
Wait, David, I love you.
I love you too.
I love you too.
Oh, I love you all. Aww. Thank you, Dylan, for assistance with editing. You can find his podcast, Anime Out of Context, at animeoutofcontext.com. Thanks to Tucker and MaxyBee for assistance with pronunciation, translation, other miscellaneous research. Find us on X at ShonenFlopcast, Tumblr, Shonen-Flop, and our website, ShonenFlop.com. Also on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, wherever else you get your podcasts. And also come join the Shonen Flop Discord. It's open to everyone, patron or not. Come hang out with us and talk about anime, games, or whatever else is on your mind. Find a link to it in the show notes or on our site. And if you've been enjoying our podcast and will help us keep going, consider subscribing to our Patreon. Wouldn't be able to keep the show running without their support. You get a ton of awesome perks like the Shonen Drop, where every month we review our last month's episodes, and you even get exclusive monthly episodes. On top of that, Jordan, what are we talking about in the month of June?
Well, this month, listener, I'm finally going to make David read Baki.
Yeah, we're reading 3 volumes of Baki. I'm diving in tonight. We'll see if I enjoy it.
Hell yeah!
You could even be listening to the Warm-Up Audio or helping us pick what series we cover on the show. Find it at patreon.com/shonenflop, and I want to read off some of our wonderful patrons. Starting with our Dolphin Dads, we have Clornak and Never Expected to Hear Better to Ask for Forgiveness Than Permission When Dissecting Cow-Eye, and Rachel, my wonderful wife. She is the best. She bought me cake yesterday. Moving on down to the Ravioli tier, where you get weekly pictures of my adorable dog, Ravioli, and if you join that tier, I'll also send you Magic the Gathering Ravioli dog tokens.
I have some. They're great.
Yes, David, if you would like some, I'm happy to send you some as a thank you for being on the show.
Oh, also, I'm working on the Magic the Gathering manga that's coming out from Visit.
There's a Magic the Gathering manga?
What is the title you're going with?
Destroy all humans. They cannot be regenerated.
Nice. Perfect.
Because humans is natural race in Magic the Gathering, so yeah.
People kept translating like, no, it's got to actually be legal. Have you played Magic?
I played Wrath of God a lot.
Ooh.
I played a lot of card games, Yu-Gi-Oh, and actually that's how I got my start, Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff like that. So
I love it. Yeah, if you want to send me your address, I will unironically if you like. So essentially, we call my dog Ravioli the Goblin, so I made goblin tokens that have her picture on them. If you send me your address, I will happily send you some.
Oh, that sounds cool.
And then Ravioli, she's just a good goblin. She went on a hike, and everyone was like, wow, she's the best dog. And I was like, don't you know it? We have Chris, Eva, Lady T, Matt, T, Tiffany, and Trevor. Moving on down to the King of the Forest, we have 090Z, Bandit Stoof.
My girlfriend. I love her.
Aw. Brad, Chad, Gas Snake, Jacob Andrew Galloway, Justin Hafner, Kirby Munt, Marty, Max Baker, Riley, Sarah, T. Wolfwood, and Tommy Boy. I also want to give a big thank you to our Galactic Ball Federation officers and our Beast Children.
Thank you so much. I love all of you.
And Jordan, anything you want to toss in?
Yeah, so again, I'm just going to talk about how on Mission Ignition, we finally got an interview with somebody from Vampires who was...
Yeah, Jordan interviewed Gary Oldman.
Ooh.
Yeah, well, we're going to find out if Gary Oldman was actually on Vampires. You could listen to the show to find out. Hey, cool Dave, you ever hear of Vampires?
Yes, I have.
Whoa, really?
That's a third person.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I'll just say I'm a big Gary Oldman fan. So.
There you go.
Hell yeah.
All right, so let's get into sign-offs. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been David.
This has been Jordan.
David.
Cool, David.
And you've been listening.
And you've been listening to... Yeah.
And you've been listening to Shonen
That's my
Flop.
line, Jordan.
Fuck.
And you've been listening to Shonen Flop.
Keep on flopping, floppers. God damn it. Yeah, fuck. All right.
Also, listener, I love how David, when he's in the document, he's like, am I supposed to be saying all these lines? Like, oh, right, your name is also David. All right, we can stop recording. Bye.